So without any further yak from me, I introduce Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wore my jumping shoes today. Doing a lot of jumping. Gordon, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I was here as a candidate, by the way. I have to say I enjoyed that, but it's a lot nicer to be back as governor. It is a great pleasure to be back with you here. And I have to say that on this third full day of spring, it's nice to be somewhere other than an emergency operations center. Honored. Thank you, Gordon. Where'd you go, Gordon? Thank you so much for your introduction. Needham High School class of '75, a proud graduate. Thank you for that and for your leadership of New Jersey policy perspective, and also to the entire team at NJPP for putting this event together. I was shown a book related, I think it was by Governor Hughes, and in the inside of the first of the cover and on the first couple of pages, all of Governor Hughes's staff signed this book, and I was shown this by one of Governor Hughes's sons, and Gordon McGinnis's signature was in that book. So Gordon, you have wisdom and experience beyond any of us in this room arguably put together. So hats off to you and all you've done. I also want to thank all of the panelists and the speakers from throughout the day as well. And unfortunately, I sure as heck would have liked to have been here to listen to their thoughts, but our staff has been here, and I know that as with always with NJPP, there is sound advice to be heard, and I promise you we've been listening. And thank you all, each and every one of you, for your support, including, by the way, Anna Lilia. Thank you for my pin and for standing so tall, of Working Families. Thank you all for your support of NJPP, both today and over time. Our state's progressive community is a strong and diverse network that recognizes that none of us succeeds unless we all succeed. I am proud that our acting treasurer, Liz Moyo, was here, acting commissioner Sharif El-Nahal, acting commissioner of health, acting commissioner of human services, Carol Johnson, could be a part of these discussions. I'm pretty sure, Gordon, that you didn't have that level of participation from the prior administration, if I had to guess. As you surely know by now, I am incredibly proud of the cabinet that we have assembled. Its diversity mirrors that of our state. Its intelligence and talent highlight the very best of New Jersey and beyond. And that's one element of our diversity in the cabinet that we haven't spoken much to, but it's worth, hey Seth, it's worth mentioning. And that is, it's not diverse in the ways you would think we measure diversity. It's also diversity in terms of its experience. So if you look at Sharif or Carol, or add to that Catherine McCabe in the Department of Environmental Protection, or Zakiya Smith-Ellis, who is our Secretary of Higher Education, just to pick those four, they have meaningful, deep, national, Washington-based experience. And when you're dealing with the administration we're dealing with in Washington, that's not by accident. So that combination of homegrown, deeply rooted New Jersey experience and sprinkled into that, whether it's dealing with Medicaid or dealing with the EPA, or what was formerly the Environmental Protection Agency, I assume the P is about to be dropped, or veterans health care, or higher education, and what models are out there that can work for us in terms of accessibility or affordability. That national and other arena experience really matters. And I'm particularly proud, and I've said it before, that we made history by having the first cabinet ever in our state's history with a majority of women appointees. I also have to say, I want to give a particular shout out to Freeholder President in Essex County and the guy who got us to the dance, Brendan Gill's in the house. Brendan, always an honor. He is standing beside a gentleman who looks strikingly like Adam Alonso. What has always impressed me about New Jersey policy perspective isn't that it has had a strong voice for progressive policies that can move our families and residents forward. That part we all would have expected. But it has always been in how these policy ideas have been put forward, not just the ideas. For 8 years, we had an administration that set policy based on ideology and politics, a very personal narrative, a narrative that was tied into ambitions that were well beyond our state and very much to the right of us. Shrink, gut government, find gimmicks to cut taxes even when they made absolutely no sense, and rip our progressive soul 3 standard deviations to the right. Evidence and facts were second thoughts to pushing a political agenda. Ideology trumped reason. I use that verb on purpose. And that is always a dangerous place to be. When I left my office today, I saw the picture of John Bolton up on my screen, and that got me in the car a lot faster than I otherwise would have. But what NJPP has always done is the opposite. It has used sound reasoning and facts to guide the creation of sound progressive policy ideas. That's the way it should be. Let's gather our facts and let them guide us. Throughout our campaign, I promised an administration that would make its decisions based on facts and science and on what is best for the next generation in our state and not my or anyone else's next election. To get that right requires looking at issues from all angles, and NJPP does that better than anybody. And the research and insights are the ones that I think make a lasting impact, whether it's John or Brandon or Sheila or Ray or anyone else on the team. Their work helps educate our views, and they show us the possibilities of the policies we seek to implement. And I don't know where we would be, Gordon, I have to say this again, and I mean this to you personally, where we'd be without your vast knowledge and experience. This is the only way that we're going to move New Jersey up and out of the deep hole we've been in for far too long. As I said in my budget address last week, and don't worry, this speech will be shorter, the people of New Jersey get it. Bless you. They understand the condition of our state. They want those of us in leadership, beginning with me, to speak with them as adults and not at them. They understand that we need to make tough choices, but they also respect when we must make those tough choices. They're the ones who have been living with the results of years of short-sighted ideological policymaking. And they want us to take, at long last, the longer view. They want us to use our facts. New Jersey policy perspective has always taken that longer view. All of you in this room have taken that longer view as well. And now, at long last, you have a governor and a leadership team in place who recognizes that we can't keep playing to the next election. We have to create a stronger and fairer New Jersey that will stand the test of time and the test of the next generation. And that is what this fight is all about. It is about the future of our state. For me, this is about the fight about the meaning of the word value, both in protecting the core values of our state, but also in restoring the value of New Jersey. To the first, it is at the heart of creating a fairer and more just New Jersey. Deep within New Jersey, and you know this as well, if not better than I do, beats a progressive heart in the best sense of the word. At our best, we've looked to build a better future, one that works for everyone. We've always thought big and acted big. This is who we have been for generations. We recognize the importance of environmental protection in the nation's densest state. We recognize that a progressive income tax system ensured fairness among both working families and the wealthy. We put a premium on strong public schools and colleges and universities that could rival any others anywhere else on this planet. We had diverse and welcoming cities. We ensured that our residents could access health care. We respected, if not even celebrated, the rights of organized labor. And we had state budgets that invested in all of these values. But somewhere along the way, and over the past 8 years in particular, the sound of that heartbeat has been muted by a politics that came to see these tremendous advantages as a threat and as the fault for every problem. So the first step in our road back must be to once again hold our New Jersey values up as the defining measure of our state. And to do that, we must have a budget that invests in those values, and in doing so, restores the value that taxpayers had gotten for so long. As Gordon mentioned this, and it has the added virtue of being the truth, let's be clear, New Jersey has never been an inexpensive place to live. I don't think any one of us who moved here, as we did, or stayed here, were operating under some other pretense. But we knew the deal that New Jersey offered. In exchange for the investments state government made in its residents and communities, we enjoyed tremendous dividends, the very items I just referred to. In other words, you knew you paid a premium to live here, but you got a rich basket of stuff back. And that equation was in balance, and we were okay with that. It made us a place with an unmatched quality of life, and a place that other states look to for the solutions for their own vexing problems. Neither Tammy nor I grew up here, sadly. But the advantage is we've heard what they've said about us behind our backs for decades. And it used to be laudable. It used to be, we can't figure X or Y or Z out. Let's see what they're doing in New Jersey. And by the way, it wasn't always Democrats. There were leaders from both sides of the aisle who got that and behaved that way. However, the value proposition was ignored by an administration that while, I'm going to, by the way, paraphrase, you don't get this twice in 2 weeks, but I'm going to paraphrase Oscar Wilde, an administration that while it could tell you the price of everything, had real trouble discerning the value of anything. It was replaced by the thinking that if you protect the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, somehow, some way, things would work their way out for the average family. We know from the experience during the Reagan years in the 80s that trickle down and the Laffer curve and all that goes with it doesn't work. So I'm frankly not sure why we thought any differently in 2010 or in the intervening years, or why President Trump and the Republican congressional leadership in Washington still think that in the year 2018, but they do. So the budget I proposed aims to restore this value for money equation to its proper balance. Yes, the millionaire's tax is the right thing to do so we can invest directly in our middle class and working families and in our students. Yes, combined reporting is the right thing to do to ensure tax fairness, in particular for our small businesses. And by the way, we're not George Washington with combined reporting. The majority of states in America already do it. Yes, closing the carried interest loophole is the right thing to do. And yes, restoring the sales tax to 7% is the right thing to do. That was a complete personal narrative tax gimmick. So somebody could say, twinned with the gas tax, which we had to do, we didn't raise taxes. At least in our budget, and I think in frankly most responsible budgets, you actually think through things like this. If I cut X, what are the results? If I raise Y, what are the results? You score things. You think, who's this going to take, where's the pain going to be felt? I'm proud to say, if you make between $75,000 and $125,000 in your household, I can tell you to the dollar what restoring that sales tax will mean. I know exactly to a dollar the pain associated with that, but more importantly, I know the multiples of those dollars that we'll be able to deliver to you and your kids over the next coming years. So let there be no doubt, cutting the sales tax wasn't done for any specific policy idea, whether we agreed with it or not. it was done as a gimmick for some guy to stand up and say, you know what, I didn't raise taxes. The days of gimmick, house of cards, financial smoke screens are over, period, full stop. Got that off my chest. Okay. Round three. Central to this budget is the proposition that we must put real relief for the middle class and working families first. Not expensive, as I mentioned, gimmicks that hamper our ability to compete or to make the critical investments we need for our future. We know the people of New Jersey are with us. We're not guessing on this one. We know they support ensuring that millionaires pay their fair share. And by the way, I'm not into class warfare. The days of us versus them are behind us. This is about fairness. It's about equity. If you're wealthy in this state, I want you also to look at the equation we're going to present to you over the coming years and say, you know what, it's worth it. There is good value for money for all of us. And we know that the wealthiest understand that investing in our state will take new revenues, Without this, we would be unable to invest in our public schools, in putting a higher education within reach of more people, including a strong, specific first step of our goal to make community college tuition-free for all, and in ensuring that we have the workforce that we need for a stronger, more competitive future. Without that tax, we would not be investing $341 million into our state's classrooms and putting ourselves on a path to fully funding our school funding formula and to achieving universal pre-K within 4 years. This budget puts us closer to setting the standard for providing a free education for everyone from pre-K right on through up to an associate's degree. When we do that, we will be the #1 and only state in this country to have done so. Or as another example, take New Jersey Transit. As someone said, when I said this about a year ago, I said, take New Jersey Transit, and they said, at your risk. And by the way, when we talk about New Jersey Transit, or when I'm ranting on public utilities, let's distinguish that from the brave, honest day's work that the folks who work there put in every single day of the year. After 8 years of starvation and neglect, commuters were getting precious little value for the 36% fare hike they were forced to shoulder. Now we're investing nearly $250 million to get NJ Transit back on track. We're making significant and real investments in the system, in hiring the skilled workers it needs and putting it on a firmer fiscal footing. And by the way, there was no more house of cards financially in this state of any example than NJ Transit. And we've already taken a fare hike off the table at least until the end of fiscal 2019, which is over 15 months. I hope that can last longer. These are investments residents need us to make. New Jersey can't work if they can't get to work. And as I said, on whether it's education or NJ Transit, people get it. And those of us in public office must too. But we are not going to be able to create a stronger and fairer New Jersey in just one budget or just through the items in that budget. For starters, it's far past time we ensure that no one who works full-time is condemned to poverty, and that we put ourselves on a clear and predictable path to a $15 an hour minimum wage. It's not rocket science. We know that when working families get a raise, they spend it in the real economy, on housing, on putting more and better food on the table, on a child's education, and in local stores and restaurants. Raising the minimum wage is not a social handout. It stimulates the economy, in our case, by allowing 1.2 million people in our state to participate in the economy more fully and with dignity. Each of these families also deserves the peace of mind of earned sick leave, so they can take care of themselves or a family member without fear of losing a day's wage or even their job. This is just common sense. When you treat workers with respect, they are more productive and dedicated. It's time we enact that. And yes, we must take a broad leap towards social justice by legalizing adult use marijuana. Now, it's no secret, because I think many may have heard me say this before, that I did not come to this overnight. I'm a dad of 4 kids under the age of 21. I had to listen to all sides for quite a while. But the conclusion I came to is the one New Jersey is coming to as well. The investments we can make in our communities through the careful legalization, regulation, and taxation of adult use marijuana far outweighs the cost of continuing a broken policy that has only led to disproportionate mass incarceration of African Americans in this state. We have the widest, amen. We have the widest white, non-white gap of persons incarcerated in America. And low-end drug crimes are not the only reason, but they're probably the biggest contributing reason. And I would say, secondly, I'm happy we're not going first. We're going to learn from what worked and what didn't work from a whole lot of states that have gone ahead of us. And there are some, and I understand their instincts, who have latched on to decriminalization as a sort of, in their minds, as a step on the road, but not all the way there. The problem is it's not a step on the road. If you decriminalize it, it doesn't crack the back of the social justice realities. It leaves the business in the hands of the bad guys. It leaves our kids exposed, and we can't regulate it or tax it. We're not doing this for the money, but at the end of the day, that's the caboose on the reason train to do this. But if we do it, and we do it right, we could use the money. Now, while we seek to implement this new vision in general of a stronger and fairer New Jersey, we are going to be standing against strong winds blowing up from Washington that will try to push us back. Too many in the Trump administration, starting with the president himself, have yet to come to the natural conclusion that our diversity is what makes our nation strong, and that by lifting up working families, we can do much more than by coddling the wealthy and the powerful. This is why it is important for us to work with our like-minded sister states in standing up for our immigrant families and dreamers, in fighting efforts to roll back health care, and working every single day to ensure there never is oil drilling off our coast, to name a few. And yes, we are going to lead the way in showing that a stronger and fairer state protects its residents and communities by enacting common sense gun safety laws. I know my friend, the majority leader, Lou Greenwald, was here earlier, and I want to give him a particular shout out on leading us in that respect. Tomorrow, as I know many of you will, I will join young people from across our state at the March for Our Lives. In my case in Newark, Tammy will join many others in Hackensack. The strength and resolve we are seeing from our younger residents, not just in the state but around the country, is nothing short of inspiring. Our generation has failed on gun safety. They will show us the way. And it gives me confidence that long after we've left the scene, there will be a new generation of progressive leaders who will act not based on politics, but on evidence, on facts, and on common sense. And given the support I know there is in this room, I know New Jersey policy perspective will continue to be there and provide the strong research that generation will need to effectively lead. And we together must prepare for that future. We must stop our recent history of governing from crisis to crisis. We've seen the results of policies pushed more to provide ideological cover or for personal political benefit than for the betterment of the lives of all 9 million people who call this great state their home. We must put our state back on firmer footing that restores the value of New Jersey while protecting our New Jersey values. This is how we build that stronger and fairer and more just New Jersey. And I invite you all to join me on that journey. I need you to use your voices and those of your organizations to make the case that this is how we turn New Jersey around and ensure a better future for our people. Events like this are where we make the commitment to a stronger, fairer New Jersey. But outside this room, out on the streets, and in the neighborhoods is where we need to be to bring it to life. Thank you all for your commitment to our state and our people. Thank you for your support for our progressive ideals, and thank you for allowing me these few minutes to be with you today. Thank you.